Hi, my name is Sophie. I'm a second-year PhD student in the Department of Politics and International Studies, and today I'd like to talk a bit about South Africa, which is where I grew up, and gender-based violence, particularly the developments that have happened in recent years. So in August 2019, 19-year-old Uyinene Mretswana was brutally raped and murdered at a post office in a student area just outside of Claremont, Cape Town. It was just after 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Her 9-day disappearance was marked by increasing shock from the community and amongst students at the University of Cape Town, where she was studying in her first year. After the discovery of her body, the true horror of what had happened was revealed. In relaying the forensic evidence, a chilling statement from the police minister said, and I quote, "She fought there heavily. She lost her footing, and then he raped her. In the midst of that, she rises and fights, and he bashes her to death." The incident triggered large emotional protests against gender-based violence. This is just one story of truly violent femicide, but it shone a spotlight onto countless others, past and present. And these reflected in the most blatant way the 2017-18 stat that a woman is killed every 3 hours in South Africa, 5 times higher than the global average. Such random and brutal murder can be deeply shocking, but it's only one form, and not even the most relevant form, of gender-based violence. As of 2019, 50% of assaults on women were committed by someone close to them. At the end of March 2020, during the first week of lockdown alone, the police received 2,300 calls pertaining to violence against women. Yet police officers are still hesitant to intervene in what they see as family matters, and the judiciary tends to be riddled with biases. But there is hope, demonstrated by the mobilization of students, youth, educators, and the government, and I'd like to touch on a couple of these efforts. The widespread attention and civil action of 2019, which you can see in the slide, prompted government to escalate previously minimal work. In September 2019, an interim steering committee on gender-based violence and femicide started to draft a national strategic framework. Attention was particularly given to victim empowerment. The plan was released in March 2020, though it should be said, not before certain organizations like the Commission for Gender Equality raised concerns about the interim committee's hostility to inquiry and refusal to account for allocated funds. Nonetheless, many suggest that this framework will help. It involves multiple sectors: civil society, religious organizations, private sector, academic institutions, and the government. And most recently, further efforts have seen a private sector-led GBVF response fund launched just at the beginning of February. But government action is only a part of this story. There is so much inspiration to be had from many people's uniquely 21st century community action. As the previous slide demonstrated, the protests were extensive and impassioned, but many young people have also taken steps to make this movement stick. Instagram has been a particular site of activism, with all efforts in a bid to both keep the conversation going and to allow easy access to resources like petitions, educational material, support networks, and the like. New organizations have been set up like Every Voice is Equal, or EVE, which you can see in the yellow icon at the bottom, and Anti-GBVF-SU, which was set up at Stellenbosch University. They are constantly finding different ways to engage people. They probe how we do better rather than just how we condemn the problem. They encourage people through conversation series to dive into spaces where they feel most unsure. These uncomfortable spaces that address physicality, sex education, and the like are often not properly covered in schools because of taboos. Intersectionality is also a key part of the movement, and it's not only a woman's effort. Langer for Men, for example, is an incredible organization founded by 2 21-year-old boys in a township just outside of Cape Town. They want to change the minds of men and invest in young boys through various programs. The movement that flared up after Uyinene's death shows no signs of disappearing or even being supplanted by more topical issues. In fact, in light of current circumstances, people across the country are quick to say that South Africa faces 2 twin pandemics: COVID-19 and gender-based violence. And the latter, and I quote the Deputy President, cuts deep into core foundations of our national consciousness our identity, our humanity, and our collective sense of nationhood. All the efforts I've described are constant and ongoing, fighting to make lasting change. I can't do justice to the work of these organizations here, nor to the stories of many South African women, but I look forward to answering any questions I can. And luckily for all of us, when we want to know more, the information is right at our fingertips. Thank you.